judges. Our panel this afternoon is represented by Mr. Benny Lee and Mr. Alvin Wang from the Ministry of Finance, and Mr. Samuel Miatsan, a former debater and member of the EXCO of Debate Association Singapore. Now, most of you know these rules. I'm not going to go into too much detail here. The bell will ring at the beginning of your POI zone and at the end of your POI zone once. It'll ring twice at 5 minutes when you should be finished, and after 5.5 minutes, it'll ring incessantly. Now, today, teams are simulating a budget debate set in Singapore's Parliament, which is itself right across the road, so that should be pretty easy to visualize. Now, teams are going to debate a particular policy proposed by the Ministry of Finance, who's represented in all our debates today by the first proposition team. Now, if you'll notice up here from the slide behind me, the other teams have also been given specific groups in societies to represent as they support or attack the policy. To start us off, I call Jose of SJI International. I'm so sorry. To open the case for the first proposition.
In today's economic crisis, sovereign wealth funds hold much power to help and aid. But then we do not really truly understand the nature of these sovereign wealth funds. Why is this so? Simply because they do not regularly disclose the information. And we're here today to show you that they should. But before that, let me move on to some housekeeping issues. Some key definitions of the debate. Firstly, what are sovereign wealth funds? Sovereign wealth funds are basically state-owned investment funds composed of financial assets such as stocks, bonds, property, precious metals, and other financial instruments. They draw on government reserves which are built by using government surpluses. Examples of sovereign wealth funds would be Temasek Holdings or the Abu Dhabi Investment Authority. And we recognize that sovereign wealth funds implicitly are directly accountable to and ultimately take orders from the governments, their respective governments. When we talk about the verb disclose, we're basically talking about that we will allow people access to this information which the sovereign wealth funds will release through mediums of the mass media, such as the internet or maybe even press releases, with the understanding that once they are released through such mediums, anyone in the world can access them. Periodically, it is defined as on a quarterly basis, such as most private firms and investment companies across most industries.
Information, sir?
No, thank you, sir. With an annual statement at the end. When we talk about the financial state of these sovereign wealth funds, we're talking about their investment portfolio, such as the percentage of the wealth in which the percentage of wealth concentrated in certain industries or what they're invested in. When we're talking about their financial performance, we're talking about the health of the sovereign wealth fund, such as the revenue of the investments and also their annual year growth. The final term which we would like to define today is the public. Now today we are going to define the public basically as not your average layman on the streets. Rather, they're more of investors, whether in your country or abroad, and other governments as well. No, thank you, sir. Because ultimately, this debate concerns those who have a stake in the global investment markets. And today we'll be proving this case to you, that why the sovereign wealth funds must be transparent on two tiers. I, as the first speaker, will be showing you that they need to do so because of the liquidity that's of sovereign wealth funds and why this is important on a global scale. My second speaker will be showing it to you on the tier of economic security that sovereign wealth funds can provide. So now that we're done with that, let's move on to my case. So in the current economic crisis, due to the low liquidity and the low confidence in the global markets, few people are willing to invest in financial institutions because they do not have the capital to do so and because prices are constantly fluctuating in the market. And sovereign wealth funds have become an important force for providing liquidity in the capital markets because they can provide an injection of cash. Now, these companies and financial institutions, they need the money, which today, hold on, sir, only sovereign wealth funds can provide. Why is this so? Because sovereign wealth funds in the world are sitting on huge reserves of cash, and the total assets today amount to $2.9 trillion, more than 143 of the poorest countries in the world combined. And the sovereign wealth funds can and do invest in the long term and are able to ride out the crisis. Yes, sir?
Sir, precisely because sovereign wealth funds are so necessary for the economy, don't you think we should incentivize them to invest by giving them the privacy that's required for them to conduct their sensitive business?
the privacy that is required to conduct your sensitive business. Yes, you may be right on that count, sir, but you fail to recognize that in today's market, confidence, economic security is also very crucial to businesses. And in today's market, where there is such low confidence, we see that today, when the sovereign wealth funds provide their information, which I'll be proving to you further on later in the case, this will raise the confidence in the global markets. And so, therefore, let's look at a case in point of the way these sovereign wealth funds can actually ride out the long-term, the economic crises. Let's look at Temasek Holdings. When they invested in Citigroup, when they first invested, the shares of Citigroup were $26 per share. Now, they're worth $4 per share. Temasek Holdings is making a huge loss. However, they're still holding on. Why is this so? No, thank you, sir. It is because they're able to use their reserves to survive. The only problem is that most sovereign wealth funds today are very secretive in revealing their investments. They do not reveal their financial state or their financial performances. Now, what we today propose is that by being more transparent in revealing their financial states and performances, this will be able to show investors that the financial institutes have a long-term backing. Because of this long-term backing that they have from the sovereign wealth funds, this will be able to raise the confidence the investors have in the global market, and this can actually greatly help to stabilize the prices and also eventually help to pan out the crisis which is happening today, which is why this motion must stand.
Let's hear from the first speaker from the opposition, Kenny from Innova Junior College.
At this side of the House, we strongly believe that sovereign wealth funds should not disclose their financial status and performance to the public at a regular basis. In this motion, we need to explore the words disclosure and regularly. Regarding disclosure, we need to explore on how much information should be revealed to the public by the sovereign wealth fund. Regularly would imply frequent updates of financial status and performance by sovereign wealth fund throughout the financial years. So at this side of the House, our first argument point is that it is for the nation's and public's interest that we do not disclose our performance and financial status, among other things, regularly. Let us explore the origin of this fund. These funds are accumulated assets collected by the government through taxes and are collectively owned by the public. Therefore, it is the government's responsibility to safeguard these funds to protect the public's and nation's interests. It is precisely for this reason, sovereign wealth funds should not disclose information such as its performance and financial status on a regular basis. Allow me to pose this question. How practical it is for a sovereign wealth fund to disclose this information, such as international assets that they own and foreign currency they are holding onto. And this information would end up in every other corporation, organization, public and private investment vehicles who will be able to triangulate investment plans and strategies of the sovereign wealth fund. This allows other players in the market to anticipate the sovereign wealth fund's strategies. Quoting, yes, please.
We see that these strategies will not be totally revealed. These sovereign wealth funds will not reveal top secrets, only their financial states and performances.
If only you expect them to reveal only as what they are doing very well for their economy and their investment, then there will not be a report. What they will report in will be a lot more than what they are trying to reveal. Therefore, as I was saying, as quoting from Minister Mentor Lee Kuan Yew, no company likes to have its move anticipated. If you make your move very clearly, people can predict what you will do next and forestall you or preempt you. Private investment vehicles discloses little to non-existent level of information to the public. So, no thank you. Why should sovereign wealth funds, similar to these private investment vehicles, discloses information which allow others in the market to anticipate their move and to top it off on a regular basis to guide these people in anticipating their moves? Disclosing this information on a regular basis is suicidal. It allows other players in the investment market to share investment returns that should be enjoyed solely by the sovereign wealth funds. But what we are most fearful of is exposes this investment to potential sabotages and turn profits into unrecoverable losses. The threat of sabotage is very real. As quoting from Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, we do not want to tell people exactly how much we have so that they can take a run on a Singapore dollar. Disclosure of such information on a regular basis is disproved of. In fact, it's in the public's interest that we do not disclose such information to the public to deter potential sabotage and free riders that erodes the earning by the sovereign wealth funds. Sovereign wealth funds also need to protect sensitive pieces of information, such as certain international assets they're currently holding on to for security reasons. This is because these assets are easy targets of sabotage and terrorism. Trading off potential profits and trading off potential profits and security interests for allowing our citizens to have better knowledge on how this fund is being managed is definitely against public interest. Therefore, it is impractical for the sovereign wealth funds to disclose performance and financial status to the public on a regular basis. My second speaker, Jaslyn, will be covering on, firstly, why limited disclosure of information is the path that sovereign wealth funds should take, on populist pressure, unnecessary fears that sovereign wealth funds are politically oriented, and lastly, professionalizing sovereign wealth funds. Thank you.